komt tevoorschijn uit de duisternis. Doe gerust een stap vooruit en vertrouw me dat het veilig is. Jezus zelf nodigt je uit. Mij lopen naar het licht toe. Mij lopen naar het licht toe.
Hallo, ek is Ronell besuidnout. En jy luister vandag na Veelkleurige. Dankie dat jy inskakel. Hierdie is 'n geselsprogram waar ek met veelkleurige mense gesels. Vandag is 'n eerste vir my. Ek praat vandag met mense uit Europa uit, direk uit Nederland. 'n Musiekgroep met die naam van Sela, maar nie net 'n gewone musiekgroep nie. Ek wil hulle verwelkom. Kom leer hulle saam met my ken. Van die 7 lede het ek 3 by ons. James Macmillan, Mirjam Kerkhof en Frans Korpershoek. Dis 'n voorreg om hulle vandag as veelkleurige gaste te hê.
Jezus, u blijft niet op afstand staan. U bent één gebed bij mij vandaan. Niemand anders komt zo dichtbij. U bent hier en woont in mij. Hier ben ik in uw aanwezigheid. Breek de muur af die mij van u scheidt. Leer mij steeds meer uw stem verstaan. Kom tot mij en spreek mij aan. De Heer is hier. Ons in liefde naar Gods Vaderhart. Hij zegent jou en mij.
Welcome everyone. I think it may be good when you say your name because I've already mentioned your names in my introduction, but then people will know who's who. So let me start with whomever wants to answer. The whole concept of Sela, when I read your mission statement, etc., I realized that it's much more than a music band or a gospel band. So where did this whole idea originated from? What do you do? What does the name mean for people who are not familiar with that? That's the first thing that I want to know.
James.
Shall I begin?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay. Yeah, Sela began, or first the word Sela is a word that occurs in the Psalms primarily. It's also a city in the Bible, but it appears in the Psalms, and with everything that I've ever read, it seems that nobody really knows what it means. And it might be a pause, it might be some kind of musical direction, it might be something else. But like many Old Testament words, there isn't enough usage to give it context. But it is part of the worship of God. That's what we do know, because it appears in more than 30 Psalms, I believe. So that's where it came from. And Sela itself was begun by a youth movement, or the sort of youth department of the biggest denomination in the Protestant church in the Netherlands. And it began as a dream of a guy named Hans Maat, who wrote many of the lyrics of the songs we do, including Ik zal er zijn and Toekomst vol van hoop. And it was his dream that they would start out from his organization, they would start to put out new songs. And then he wanted to have a band to play those songs and record them and put them out. And so he started Sela. It was his baby from the beginning.
Okay, but you've said that you want to present new music, and you also write on some of your internet platforms that you're trying to give new music to traditional churches. One of the biggest problems as a pastor in a congregation, as an older member of the Christian community, in the sense of a different generation as the younger, one thing that I've experienced as an enormous hindrance is the fact that the older generation finds younger music difficult. The younger members or the younger generation feels that the older people do not want to change. So that's really one of our biggest problems in our traditional congregations. What is the problem that you experience in trying to do this, new songs for an older traditional group?
Can I?
Yeah.
Please, Frank.
I would say that the problem or the challenges you face are similar here in Holland with the difference between the generations. Yeah. So what we try to do is to write new songs that build the bridge between the organ music and the psalms and the hymns and more modern music like pop music. Yeah. And it seems to work here, but we see also I'm from more like an evangelical church. We would say happy clappy here in Holland.
Yeah, as well.
And none of the Sela songs are sung in my church.
Is it?
But no, none of them. But I hear from congregation members that they listen to them at home, young and old people. Yeah. So it's interesting. We found a lot of people that use our songs in different churches, but we don't reach every church.
And is there resistance from older people towards your music?
If we look to our the visitors of our concerts, we would say that there's young and old, and they all love the songs as much.
Yeah. Well, I think your music is exceptional. That's one of the things I want to talk about, because I think the standard of your music is exceptional. I want to give a very stereotypical viewpoint. Some of the gospel singers in my country will be up on their feet if they hear what I'm going to say now. But there is a viewpoint that because the gospel music industry in South Africa, especially amongst Afrikaans people, is a very big industry, but there is a tendency that it's not necessarily good music. It's not necessarily very theologically good lyrics. And with that, there's also the viewpoint, how unfair it is, that it's somebody that didn't make it in the other genres of the musical industry, and then they move forward to the gospel industry. Do you experience something like that in the Netherlands?
Most people that I know that start in a chosen music genre, they stay in their genre. They don't necessarily swap to something else. That's my experience. Yeah. Unless they come to Jesus and they find value in their faith. But that's not very common. Yeah. What do you guys think, Mirjam?
I don't think we have a similar problem here. I think it's no, I think it's different. I do not know many singers who started their career, if you can talk about a career, of course, in the without Jesus or without singing about him.
Yes.
So no, I don't think it's the same. So I cannot really relate to this problem. I think I don't really understand the problem, because if it would be a problem here in the Netherlands, then I think it would be very painful, because you want to sing about Jesus and about our God from your heart. And if that's not the case, then I think I would find it very painful if that was happening.
Yeah. Well, I didn't ask this question, and I'm just thinking about it now. Is it possible for you, if I ask that you tell me about your own testimony as Christians? Mm-hmm. Because that is also part of why you are part of this gospel group.
Mm-hmm.
The Zoom meeting lasts 40 minutes, huh?
In short.
But this is important, right? Yeah, shall I start?
Yes.
Well, my testimony is actually very simple. I really love Jesus, and I really need him just to be alive.
Yeah.
And to be alive. He is life. So if I want to be alive, I must be in him, and I want to be in him, and I love him very much. And I'm so thankful that I can sing about him and can share who God is with other people.
Wonderful. James, your testimony?
I came to faith when I was 45 years old, which is now 20 years ago. And before that, I was a rock and roll musician, and I had a rock and roll life in New York City in the 1980s, and I survived it, and some of my friends didn't. But through the testimony of a co-worker at a place where I was working, I started going to church, and the sermons were so fascinating that I went back every week, and the music was great. You know, it was the church from Tim Keller in New York City, and I just went crazy. And within 6 months or so, I was on the other side.
Yeah.
And while I was in that church, I met a woman from the Netherlands, and she was in New York for 1 year, and then she came back to the Netherlands, and eventually I followed, and we've been married for 16 years now.
Yes.
And when I was here, then I got to play with Sela through a nice set of this person meets that person, and that person meets that person, and I get to play with them, and I get to play with them, and then I got to play with Sela.
Oh, wonderful. So, wonderful. Frans, and yours?
Yeah, I was raised as a Christian and a very faithful church visitor. And what I experienced in my youth was that the person that I trusted most in my life was this person, Jesus, that I knew from the stories.
Yeah.
And I got really disappointed in friends and sometimes in my own family, the way that I struggled with life. So I made it quite difficult for people around me.
Yeah.
But there was this one person, Jesus, that was always faithful. And I think I was 11 when I said, Jesus, I want to follow you the rest of my life. Even if I don't know what will happen, I know I can trust you. So since then, I've made choices in my life that were based upon how can I make choices that are aligned with following Jesus and loving him. And then singing and music came forward in my life. And I experienced so much healing. And I think Jesus touched me with his love a lot through music. A lot of pain has been erased, and fear, and so a lot of love came in that place, and that's why I want to keep following Jesus.
Yeah, it's wonderful. This this brings me to my next question, because I'm trying with my ministry, trying to reach people in corners where at least my physical feet never will bring me. And I'm trying to bring hope to a society in South Africa that I'm familiar with that's struggling with COVID and struggling with economic difficulties. If we talk about hope and somebody listens now, what is your understanding of hope? What can you tell people of how to see hope in these difficult circumstances we live in?
Volunteers?
James.
Hope. Yeah, one of the things when I think about hope is that in Romans that Paul said, Romans 8, I think it is, and he says, who hopes for what he already has?
Yeah.
The idea that we as a people are constantly looking for something greater than ourselves, and we're looking for safety, and we're looking for love, and we're looking to be understood, and we're looking to be held. And we experience, we never have enough of those things. And we are hoping for more of it all the time. The way the world is, it's easy to see it right now, but the way the world has always been is there's no logical reason to think why it will get any better. This is what we've been doing for thousands of years, and we're really good at it. It's just making war to the ends of the earth, and strife and racism and trouble, and the story of Jesus and the kingdom of God is the only source of true hope that I know that won't fall away.
Yeah.
So that's the hope that we grab onto, and
yeah,
and we only hope for things that we need.
Yeah. You're talking about Romans, and there's this passage where he says that God, that is the source of hope, will fill you. So you're reminding me of that. As a younger person, Mirjam, your understanding, and I'm saying younger if I look at your face now. So as a younger woman, or a younger generation, what's hope for you?
I think hope is for me just knowing that Jesus is with me and I will be with Jesus in the end. No matter the circumstances. Yeah, just knowing in my heart that he that I am his and he's mine, and whatever I will face in the future, I will face it with Jesus, and then if I go to heaven, I will be with Jesus, and that's my hope.
Yeah. Frans, in South Africa, the situation is for most probably the majority of the people in this country an issue of having bread on the table. That's the poverty of a lot of Christians in South Africa. But what's the message of hope for somebody that's really struggling to survive?
You're not in this on your own, and the best is yet to come, is what I personally feel, but I believe that's for everyone on this earth. The best is yet to come. With Jesus Christ, there's perspective on your life. And where you are now, how lonely it might feel, how powerless it might feel, is somebody there watching over you and fighting for you for the best that will come towards you. That's what I believe.
Yeah.
And if I don't feel the hope.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Then it's hopeless. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I ask your writing of your music. How do you decide? Is it where does it come from? And how do you do it? How do you sit down and decide, okay, this is what we're writing about?
I think for all of us, we have different processes in writing the songs. What I experience is that I try to find a theme in my life that I'm going through. And often you want to sing your heart out. You want to put the message or put the circumstance on paper and find godly perspective on it. And that's what we try to do all as individuals and sometimes in groups to get together. And that for my personally, the outcome is often very personal songs that are not just personal for me, but for most people. So, and of course we have different processes in this. So I think the other band members will share different perspectives on this.
Yeah.
We have a number of people that write lyrics for the band, and that's Annika and Peter, who are both in the band, and then we have Hans Maat, who founded the band, and Martijn Bewalda and Roland Smit. These are the group of people that all write lyrics for us.
Yeah.
And then if you have an idea, then you can share it with them, or one of them, or several of them, and then you have a chat about it. I do this with Roland a lot, and then he goes off and comes back with some magic.
Exactly.
That idea that somebody sits down and translates those thoughts that I have into a text that can speak to other people, where they can also identify with it and see God in the story. That's how they often begin.
Yes.
The lyrics, and then we write a melody for it, and then we get together in a rehearsal and we hash it out.
Yeah.
With each other.
You've been a group now since 2005. I think there's 12 or 13 albums that you've produced. Do you have a favorite song, Mirjam?
Yeah, some. But the first one that popped up in my head is Jezus liefde voor mij.
Dank u, mijn Vader, voor al uw genade die u liefdevol geeft. Genade die heiligt mijn hart, heeft gereinigd door hen die in mij leeft. U heeft mij in liefde aanvaard, die mijn hart veranderd heeft. U heeft mij rechtvaardig verklaard, wat mij rust en vrede geeft. Al wat ik ben, dank ik aan hem, aan Jezus liefde voor mij. Zolang ik besta, volg ik hem na, krijgt hij gestalte in mij.
Have you got one, Frans?
I've got several, but I think at the moment it would be Maranatha.
Okay.
That's one of the songs on Vreugde van mijn hart, I guess, the album. I confuse them a lot because there's so many at the moment.
Yes.
But this is a song also about this perspective on hope.
Yeah.
Nothing is better to be with Jesus. That's what we sing out at the end.
Yeah.
I get chills when I think and talk about it.
Wanneer komt de dag? Wanneer, o God, zal de nacht voorgoed ten einde zijn? duister, stralend als de zon. Heer, hoe lang nog voor u komen zal?
And James, have you got a favorite?
Yeah, but it hasn't been released yet.
Okay. So we'll keep an eye on that. No?
We have a Christmas CD coming out in October, and we have a song on there. It's called Advent Gebed.
Yeah.
It's a gebed for Advent. It's about expectation. It's about and it's praising Jesus. So it's
yeah. Have any one of you been to South Africa? The language is so accessible, especially in terms of your music.
I've been.
You've been.
Tell me more.
On my honeymoon.
Tell me.
So I've been married now for 10.5 years. So 10 years ago I think it was winter here in Holland, but it was autumn in South Africa. Is that possible?
It's just opposite.
Oh, the opposite. Okay, I think it was end summer then, maybe.
Okay.
February.
Oh, that's full summer.
Full summer. Okay, I went there in full summer.
Okay.
And I landed in Johannesburg, and we drove to Kruger Park, and we drove all the way to Cape Town in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we swam with sharks, and we did the largest or the highest bungee jump.
Yes.
We love adventure.
Yes.
And we visited friends as well. So I still have a friend in Cape Town.
Yes.
He's a musician. And I studied with him in England. But the country and the people, I want to go back, but it's not around the corner, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I so much hope that somebody is listening to this interview and say, we have to get this band over and invite them. Yes, that's really, you won't believe it, but that's one of my prayers, that the South African audience, or the Afrikaans-speaking audience for that matter, hear your music and do something with you. Mirjam, you or James, I haven't listened. Have you been to South Africa yet?
No.
I do hope that France really planted a seed there.
Oh, I would love it.
Listen, people, I do have to end this because I'm so concerned that we will be running out of time. But I really want to thank you. The first time I've heard your music, somebody sent it to me and I was just hooked. So thank you that the Lord works in these interesting ways, that here in South Africa we sit, we listen to a band, and technology makes it possible, and you can share your testimony with us. So from my side, I am praying that the Lord will work with you wherever the Lord wants to work with you. That is the best prayer that I can give you. I want to thank you for participating, and may you be blessed with hope, and that you will know that your work is listened to. 11,000 kilometers south. So thank you very much for today. I appreciate you.
Oh.
Bless your ministry there.
Yeah.
Thank you. Take care.
You too.
Thank you.
Okay, everyone. See you again.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bless you.
Welkom thuis, hier mag je zijn. De Vader viert een feest. Welkom thuis, voor wie zoekt van zoveel prijs. Te lang is weg geweest. Welkom thuis, met zijn zegen en de Met zijn eindeloze goedheid en vergeving heet hij je welkom. Voel je thuis, je bent vrij. Je bent vrij. Welkom thuis, hier mag je zijn. De Vader viert een feest.
Ek wil dankie sê vir Sela. En ek wil sê Sela. Daar is geen beter woord as om hierdie musiekterm te gebruik wat eintlik ons ganse lewe verwoord. Mag jy 'n pragtige week hê, 'n veelkleurige week, 'n week waar jy herhaaldelik sê Sela. Tot volgende Woensdag.
In de nacht van strijd en zorgen kijken wij naar u omhoog, biddend om een nieuwe morgen, om een toekomst vol van hoop.
Ook al zijn er 1000 vragen, al begrijpen wij u niet. U blijft ons met liefde dragen. U die alles overziet.
U geeft een toekomst vol van hoop. Dat heeft u aan ons beloofd. Niemand anders, u alleen. Leidt ons door dit leven heen. U heeft ons geluk voor ogen. Jezus heeft het ons gebracht. Mens als wij voor ons gebroken. In de allerzwaarste nacht. U geeft een toekomst vol van hoop. Dat heeft u aan ons beloofd. Niemand anders, u alleen. Leidt ons door dit